So there was a study that was done by Joan Howard, and they interviewed all these employers who had hired people with records and hired and people without records. And they came to the conclusion after surveying a decent number of employers that people that had criminal backgrounds performed just as good or if not even better than people without. So it's like, because you have so much to lose, right? And you just want to be given that chance. So you're often more likely to actually stick with that job and perform well, because you don't know if you're going to be able to get another one. So the loyalty is really there for sure. And I think another misconception is like, oh, people are going to steal or whatever. And you just have to look at it on a case by case basis. I mean, every person is different, right? So you can't paint everyone with the same brush. And I understand that some environments are different than other, like say for certain charges, like if kids or something, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to be working at a school, but most people are in prison for like financial crimes, right? So financial or violent or drugs kind of, but most people are not violent. Like the women, especially, I can't talk about men, I know, like, but there wasn't that much violence. And yeah, and I've hired people in the past, over the past 6 years, and they've all been awesome. They've all been great, and we still have some people from like day one, so it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think you did some advocacy to reduce the from 800 to $550. I think that was the bill.
Yeah, I worked with Pam Demoff on that. She was the MP at the time.
Amazing,
Yeah, so
amazing,
we worked on
amazing.
that together. Yeah, and I also worked on the federal framework to reduce recidivism, and so I was like a person that they studied and talked to about my experience, so they could reform the policy.
So, do you find that the stigma is just from on a company to company level, or there's still sort of barriers from the government that still need to be kind of worked on?
I think it's definitely from company to company, but there are changes. There's an organization called Fair Chances, and they've really been opening up people's eyes to it and just getting it out there. The US is way more ahead of us. Like we're definitely behind, but US also has a major institutionalization problems. But yeah, so it's definitely slower in Canada. I think it also has a lot to do with insurance in Canada. So it's more expensive to hire someone with a record. And so a lot of times companies don't want to do it because it's a financial thing.
Yep, definitely, definitely, definitely. And from what I'm mistaken, I think you're running something called Comeback Catalyst right now as well.
Yes, we co-founded that 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
Amazing. So did that come out of that space where you wanted to kind of provide more opportunities, I'm guessing, to people with a criminal background?
Yeah, because I really saw like how creative people were in prison. Like there's an entire prison economy. So it's like if you can be creative inside prison, you can be creative outside prison and use all of your traits, like transform your hustle to become your own entrepreneur and generate your own income. And then that, because income is a part of recidivism, right? So a lot of people commit crimes for survival. But if you can generate your own income, then, you're less likely to reoffend. And so like we had one guy, he just like he owned a golf cart or something, and he bought like a plow, and he's like the busiest, like then he plowed people's driveways and stuff when we got the blizzard. And so it's something simple like that. Like you don't have to invest in all these like really expensive, like you're not making an app or something like that. Like, but you're just finding ways to generate your income for yourself and start your own company.
Yeah, sometimes the simplest stuff can actually generate the most amount of money instead of trying to build the next AI app with this amount of funding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we'd say most of your team individuals that have a criminal background, or kind of what does that split look like?
So my business partner does not have one. And we're a pretty small internal team of 5, and then I hire people that have records for like sales and doing events and stuff like that. So giving out samples or doing demos, like demos at grocery stores. So when you see people like giving out samples there, helping me with marketing, like going to events and just like when we went down to the Blue Jays game, we're just giving out samples, right? So, but yeah, it's awesome. And then the government actually has like funding for it, the SDF grant. So I've been able to work with a company called Spot Work, who I get my funding subsidized to hire people.